When the world ends, all that would have survived are Twinkies, roaches, and Call of Duty. Yes, COD, the franchise that, much like its zombies, refuses to die. Hi, I'm Dirk Dogma, and I thought for the most patriotic day, I would rank my favorite of what I believe to be the best Call of Duty, Black Ops 1. Yes, like most trilogies, the second outing is always the best. Black Ops 1, the perfect game. We got its excellent story mode, best of the classic zombies, and our subject for the day, the multiplayer. More specifically, its maps. 26 of the best maps COD has to offer, but which are the cream of the crop? Let's find out as I give my top 10 Call of Duty Black Ops 1 multiplayer maps. Number 10, Zoo. Zoo's biggest plus for me is its aesthetics. I love abandoned exploration videos, and Zoo gives me those vibes. The whole idea of the place that had a whole lot of life, both human and animal, now being a combat zone, but you can still see where all the exhibits are, is actually pretty neat. Plus, the weather conditions of a storm being on its way is a real vibe. That, and it has a monorail you can run across. Never really seen anyone use that in a serious sense, but it's an option. I hear people say that it's a bit big, but I would disagree. I would argue it just feels that way because the three lanes aren't separated from each other enough, so you can see from almost across the whole other side at certain points. I am going to say certain maps on my list get a bonus because I was a huge fan of zombies back in the day, and I loved when they would take multiplayer maps and repurpose them. And Zoo feels like it could have been one of those maps before zombies went and kind of did its own thing. I wonder if anyone ever made a custom map for Zoo. Number 9, Jungle. We're keeping our animal theme going apparently with Jungle, the only quote-unquote large map on this list. But you really wouldn't notice with the run and gun playstyle because getting from one side to the other on what I consider to be the true parts of this map is actually quite easy. The only part that feels large is the left starting spawn spot. It's just open and not much going on. At least the other side has a killing field behind it and, some debris thrown about. I wonder if later remakes if they ever closed any of that stuff up. Besides that, it has 3 lanes with a middle lane being massively lower compared to the other two, kind of making a kill alley at the bottom. And then one side having a ring around the cabin spot, which is always kind of fun. Jungle is a map due to its size you really want a full lobby to get the full experience in any game mode, but when you get that full lobby, you see why they kept bringing it back time after time. Number 8, Grid. Grid is my home for wager matches. Whenever me and my pals play any of those game modes, we would always end up on here for some reason. The map is pretty much just one big street fight. Always trying to get in between the 2 buildings and run up and down the street was always a fun, risky time. The open field to the right usually got little play in my experience. It was always mostly about holding those 2 buildings. If you could get both of them, you were really locked in. Or if you were really desperate, you could just try and hold off that back power station and just try and hold that like a own little no man's land island. I feel with a bit of retooling, Grid could have been a classic to everyone, but for now, it's just number 8 on my list. Number 7, Hotel. Hotel brings us back to the aesthetics because I love old-timey casino Rat Pack stuff. Much like Fallout New Vegas, getting to see old cars, slot machines, and pretty much the old resort overall is cool. But onto the map layout itself, it's more of a stretched than it's wide, with 2 facing sniper windows in the middle. But I like with the walls of the changing room on one side and the dining area on the other, and even the pool / like cabana area, you can kind of get around without worrying about those sniper nests. Then there's the gimmick of the elevators, which honestly don't come into play very often in a serious game, but if you ever did any made up modes like Michael Myers or like a tag type of deal, the elevators with their weight limit did come into play because it was always kind of fun seeing everyone try and get in it just for it to not close or move at all. I don't feel there are any real dead spots on this map, just quiet transition spots, which you're welcome when, trying to move from major spot to major spot on this map. Number 6, Kowloon. It's one roof battle after another. Kowloon is a tight map, making it fun for a run and gun, or you could just go on a knifing spree. One of the only maps I can get turned around in, and it doesn't really matter because being in a full game, there's always somebody to run into. The zip lines are worthless, but they are fun to do, and I feel like if they were taken away, the map would still be good regardless. I'm honestly surprised. I know Kowloon as a location only kind of makes sense for this time period, but I'm surprised it never was reimagined as something else. Especially around like the jetpack era where wall running was a major thing, I feel like that would have been really exciting to try out. Also, bonus points for having a pretty good looking custom zombies map. Number 5, Berlin Wall. Berlin Wall is pretty much just a big circle with a permanent kill lane in the middle, and that's what makes it unique. The only gimmick map that goes full board with literally making the middle lane uninhabitable, with just this little alley essentially to get from one side to the other. So instead of one centralized fight, the battles become more of like spur of the moment skirmishes from time to time. Now the right side factory bit is a bit unneeded in basic stuff like team deathmatch, but if it was cut, the map would be way too small and kinda unbalanced. And it's always fun to hide in there and try and do sneak attacks for a bit at least. If anything, a few taller buildings and maybe more red zones would be cool and really kinda put a bow on Berlin Wall. But for now, I think it's being respectable at the top 5 for me. Number 4, Hanoi. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know why I like Hanoi so much. I think it just carries a really creepy vibe to it, I guess. It kinda lingers with you for a bit. I think that's why when me and my friends back in the day were talking about multiplayer maps that could have became zombie maps, Hanoi was the one that I came to. I literally made everyone get into a private game where I walked everyone around pointing out things that could have been used in a zombie map. I don't really remember all the ideas I had back then, but I do remember calling it a Nox/Verupt hybrid because of all the creepy like torture stuff hanging around outside. But what about the actual map when it comes to multiplayer? Well, it's what I call a box map. Not really lanes, I guess, but more of just a square with buildings to duck in and out of and kind of go stealth mode like. The projector room is arguably the golden spot with its high advantage, but I think any spot could really be a golden one if you try hard enough and you get your cards in the right order. But I'm gonna be honest, Hanoi is here for 2 reasons. First off, because I like zombies and I've already explained that, and because this is the map where I got a whole lobby to rage quit during a sticks and stones game. Just flinging tomahawks all the way down. Number 3, Nuketown. Does Nuketown need an explanation on why it's here? It's Nuketown. There's not much else to say. It's a cul-de-sac with a green house and a yellow house with some cars in the middle, period. And there's nothing I can really say that would do any good, so we should just move on. But the only thing I can say is that it's at number 3 because I would argue it's overstayed its welcome. Like most of the maps that the Call of Duty games refuse to let go of, but that's what you do when you find a GOAT like this. Number 2, Drive-In. Drive-In feels like someone said, what if we did Nuketown again, but with some variety and more hillbilly theming? Because it's just Nuketown, but with more places to go other than the middle of the map. On the left, we got some dirt paths with lots of dips and rises, plus some shacks that connect over to the main lane. Then if you go to the right, very close indoor spots with corners to peek around and surprise people. The middle lane does have the facing sniper spots overlooking the middle of the lane, but also on the side lanes they have additional mini sniper spots to look over most but not all of the middle lane, just in case the main spots are too full. If the middle lane had 1 or 2 more pieces of cover, like maybe if we could have that storage box be empty so people could hide in there, and maybe another car or 2 in the middle, it would probably make that lane a little bit better. But that's all I can complain about with this map, honestly. Bonus for having some fun Easter eggs that blend in well with the theming. And number 1, Firing Range. Most of y'all knew if Nuketown wasn't going to be number 1, that Firing Range was going to be here. A Warzone training site turned into a war zone is a really fun idea. With many of the test dummies still operating, it could throw you off a bit with things moving just out of your eye view. And with many spots that could be considered good holdouts, you can't really go wrong, other than the bathrooms at the top left and that spawn strip next to it. I've seen people hold out and dominate almost everywhere, I would say, other than there. I feel like we're running into the same situation as Nuketown, because I've seen this map return so many times that everything that could have been said already has. Let's just cut to the chase. You know it's a great map, I know it's a great map, and I consider it to be the best map in Call of Duty Black Ops 1. Now if you need me, I'll be hiding in building number 3. So that's that. Did any of my picks come as a surprise? And what are your favorite maps of this chapter in the COD series? Let me know below. Now go have a drink and some barbecue. You've earned it.
3, 2, 1, surprise.
Everyone's in for a big surprise. Pre-order Call of Duty Black Ops at GameStop and enter your code on surpriseattack.com and win one of a million great prizes like a Jeep Wrangler or a Harley. GameStop, power to the players. Rated M for mature.